Welcome to Birch Lane, where you can find a fresh take on classic furniture and decor. Every piece is handpicked and crafted to last for years to come. At Birch Lane, you can explore everything from outdoor sets to living room furniture and everything in between, and get fast, free shipping. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop now at birchlane.com.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Welcome to the Covert Narcissism Podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. She couldn't figure out why she was panicking. He was a good guy. He communicated, he showed up. He wasn't perfect, but he was safe. And that was the problem. Every time he got close, she felt the urge to pull away. Every time he didn't respond right away, her chest tightened like she was 8 years old again and waiting for the parent who never showed up. One night, after a small disagreement, she found herself spiraling, convinced that he was going to leave, that she had ruined everything, that love wasn't safe after all. She sat on the edge of her bed and whispered, "What's wrong with me?" But that was the wrong question. The right one would have been, "What's in my basement?" Welcome back to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where we talk about the parts of healing that most people try to skip over. The uncomfortable truths, the early wounds, the wiring that shapes how we love today. We're going beneath the surface, not just emotionally, but metaphorically, because understanding your adult relationships means being willing to go down into your basement. And if you're thinking, why do I keep sabotaging healthy connections? Why do I keep repeating the cycle of abusive relationships? Why do I feel so anxious, distant, or reactive in love? I promise it's not because you're broken. It's because something important is living in the basement of your childhood, and it's time to take a look. So I want to use the analogy of a house. Emotionally speaking, you live on the main floor, just like you do in your own home. You live on the main floor. This is where you do your day-to-day living, the kitchen, the living room. Maybe you've got a bedroom on the main floor, the bathroom. And in your day-to-day adult self, your main floor, emotionally speaking, is where you're making decisions, building relationships, solving problems, trying to grow. This is you living your day-to-day life. You decorate the main floor, you vacuum, you host people, you live there. But your house is more than that. Your house has a basement or a crawl space. And it's not just storage that's there. You see, it's where the real stuff lives. It's where the hot water heater is, the furnace, the electrical wiring, the plumbing, the sump pump, the essential systems that keep everything running. You don't see them every day. You, in fact, don't even think about them every day. But when something goes wrong on your main floor, guess where you end up going? That's right, the basement, or the crawl space, under the house. Now, here's the truth that most of us were not told. Childhood trauma lives in your basement. And unless you go down there, face the dust, the cobwebs, the spiders, and unless you go down there and do some repair work every now and then, it will affect how you show up in life and how you show up in relationships. You see, when emotional trauma happens in childhood, the child's emotional growth doesn't just pause, okay? We talk about it, it kind of stops right there, but it actually gets rerouted. It's like the plumbing found a different way to go. Or the electrical heater, the hot water heater, it found a different way to go, or the furnace found a different way to go. So instead of developing self-trust, safety, confidence in relationships, That child experiencing the emotional trauma starts building a toolkit of survival responses. I've talked about that on this podcast before. These survival responses are things like people pleasing in order to stay safe, emotional numbing in order to avoid pain, hypervigilance to monitor moods, avoidance of closeness to prevent from being hurt again, pushing other people away before they can hurt you for fear of abandonment. These survival tools make sense in traumatic situations. When you're experiencing emotional abuse or neglect, when you're living under judgment or fear, these are normal responses and they make sense. But these survival responses replace healthy emotional development. And that's the problem. When these tools become the foundation in your basement, that's the problem. This alters how you see the world. It changes how you view others. People become potential threats instead of safe, healthy relationships. They become sources of abandonment rather than sources of connection. It affects how you view yourself. You become someone who's too much or not enough, and you become very judgmental of yourself. You start taking responsibility, even for other people's emotions, and that's where the people pleasing or the fix it mode comes in. It affects how you view love. Love becomes transactional, something you must earn, something you must protect, you must fight for, and you must brace yourself to lose. So you're always afraid of it. So, as an adult, you might walk into a new relationship full of hope, but the basement is still running the show. And without realizing it, your survival responses kick in. These responses show up as self sabotage. You push people away in order to keep from getting hurt. You cling too tightly to keep from being abandoned. You interpret neutral behavior as rejection, or you just numb out altogether. It's not because you're weak. It's because you were wired for survival, not connection. This is what I mean by basement behavior. And here's the kicker. If you never look downstairs, if you never look in your basement, you will spend your whole life rearranging the furniture on the main floor. Okay, this looks like thinking a new partner and then I'll be happy, a new home, a new job, a new boundary, a new hobby, a new book, a new podcast, a new script will fix things. But the real issues go untouched. You have to go to your basement. So, what do we do? Step one is acknowledge that the basement exists. Now, this might sound obvious, but it's the most important step. You see, a lot of people don't even realize that their childhood trauma is connected to their current relationship struggles. A lot of people don't get that. And I understand that. I didn't get it for a long time until I did. And boy, when the light bulb went off, it was just like a totally different way of looking at life. So many people don't make that connection, and so their childhood impact remains a mystery to them. Instead, they then blame themselves, they blame their partner, they blame their circumstances. But the truth is, the past is bleeding into the present. The truth is, your childhood trauma, your childhood experiences do impact the way you view life. And if you don't recognize that, if you don't face it, at least every now and then, it's going to bleed into your current world in a very subconscious way. So, acknowledgement is a huge step. Now, number two is a very important step too. Get curious instead of critical. When you feel triggered or reactive in your relationship, instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" ask, "Where did this come from? Where did I learn this? What fear am I feeling? What survival response is being activated?" Don't look at this with judgment and critical eyes. Look at it with curiosity. Often you'll find that this fear is not new, it's old, and it comes from somewhere in your past. And it didn't start with this current person in your life. You'll find that your response to it is equally old. These survival responses became instinctual and practically subconscious. Use your curiosity to safely invite them into your awareness. Number three, take gentle steps into the basement. I'm going to tell you right now, don't dive headfirst into that basement. You don't need to go, into those darkest moments right off the bat as quickly as you can. You do need to notice what lives there, but do it gently. Take small steps. What beliefs were formed in your childhood that still run your emotional life today? What survival strategies were once helpful and beneficial as a child, but now leave you feeling disconnected? And if you find yourself overwhelmed with this journey into your basement, I strongly encourage you to find qualified help. Find a therapist to guide you along the way. There are many tools and strategies they can give you to help you. When you start to do this work, when you go into that basement and understand your wiring, you stop judging yourself. You stop judging your patterns. And then you can start making some changes. This is a crucial step for healing. You stop living in shame and you start building something real, something stable, something that is you. Because here's what I want you to hear today. Emotional sabotage does not come from brokenness, it comes from protection. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means that you had to protect yourself. Survival responses are great tools to have in life. Whatever covert narcissist brought you to this podcast is not the only narcissistic person in your world. I can promise you that. The survival tools are necessary. Knowing how to protect yourself is crucial. But the key is learning that you don't have to protect yourself from healthy love. The key is being able to distinguish between healthy love and manipulative love. Being able to see the difference and put those survival responses down when you don't need them. Then you can find healing and connection. So if your relationships feel harder than they should, if you're constantly reacting, overthinking, pulling away, it might not be about who you're with. It might be about what you've been through. It might be about your learned responses to abusive situations that you have endured in your past. And it might be about what's living in your basement. Before you can ever truly see the current relationships that you have to look inside you first. You can rewire your emotional foundation. You can move from survival mode to connection. You can stop sabotaging and start healing. This is a significant part of the healing journey. Please do not overlook it. Now, doing this internal work is not going to fix your current relationship. If you are in a relationship with a covert narcissist, it's just going to become more clear. You've got to do the healing work so that you can see what's going on in your world with more clarity and less reactiveness. But it also might show you that maybe if you've moved on and are in a new relationship, that relationship is healthier than you think. And you can stop the bleeding that is coming from your past relationships. If I can ever be of help, please come find me. My email address is Renee, RENEE, at covertnarcissism.com. Reach out anytime. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. You've spent so much time thinking about them, what they did, why they did it, and how it broke you. Now it's time to focus on you. I want to personally invite you to join me for an in-person retreat, a healing retreat that is now about you. Join me for this weekend getaway of healing, clarity, and connection with others who have walked through this same fire. It's time to lay it down, to breathe again, and to feel safe in your own skin. We keep it small, just 12 women, so it stays intimate, powerful, and personal. Go to covertnarcissism.com/retreat to claim your spot. It's your time to heal. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where we break apart the insidious nature of these incredibly destructive and frustrating to the ends of the earth individuals. If you are struggling with the isolation, overwhelming self-doubt, and obsessive ruminating, you are not alone. I offer live, personalized coaching that is specific for you. This coaching can be individual or group sessions, or a combination of the two. You can find all the information at covertnarcissism.com. Reach out anytime. My email address is Renee, RENEE, at covertnarcissism.com. And remember, I am not a therapist and you are not a victim, but I am a coach and you are a survivor. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a health care provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those she has talked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support any allegation or claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.